SwifTest is our automated testing product for Oracle JD Edwards Enterprise One. Our products are all web-based and customers can see how they're being used and set up by signing into our Dimension Hub. With all of our products, we're trying to ease the burden of functional testing and improve the quality of the testing needs to be done during any E1 project. In short, we're trying to help you run better, smaller, faster, and smarter projects. So let's start here with the Hub. The products that a customer has licensed are listed down the left-hand side. Across the top, you can see a number of icons that make it easy for users to get the most from their products and interact with DWS. With these, users can do things like raise help desk tickets, download resources, or access training materials. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing with one of our products. In the Dimension Hub, these icons will always be available to you. The Hub is consistent, familiar, and easy to use. Now looking specifically at SwifTest and the dashboard, you can see graphically across the top what testing has been done by all of the users on all of your projects. You can adjust the date range or pick a specific date and refresh as you require. Below the chart, you can see the projects, scenarios, and test information. What you're seeing here reflects all of the work that has been done by all of your users of SwifTest. Now you can easily flip through the different views on the right or use the filters at the top of the grid. And now let's talk about the framework we are providing to organize, manage, and execute your testing. So what you're seeing here is a simple three-tiered project, scenario, and test structure. This is a super powerful, flexible framework to support your scripting and automation needs. We're not opinionated about how you use the structure to meet your requirements. A project might be a testing event, or it might be a catalog of tests for a particular area or system. There's no right or wrong way, and it's really easy to copy and move tests around. An approach that we've seen work really well is where customers maintain a catalog of all of their scripts. When a project starts, they copy the test that they want from their catalog into a project. They do all of their testing in that project, and after the project, if they've changed or added any new tests, they can copy those back to the original catalog. SwifTest is a solution that helps you understand and plan what testing needs to be done during any project. With testing being done inside projects, you get an easy to access audit trail of all of your testing. What's important to understand is that when you do your testing, you're doing that inside a project. At the lowest level, you can report on any test as a PDF, as an Excel file, or a Word document. SwifTest is self-documenting. Now what you're seeing here is our SwifTest client. So this is a Windows desktop application. It's really lightweight. It's only about 20 megabytes in total. It doesn't need to run on a developer machine. It just needs to be on a Windows machine that has access to your E1 instance. The first thing that you'll notice is that we're seeing the same structure and data, the exact same project scenarios and scripts that we saw when looking at SwifTest via the Dimension Hub. The SwifTest client is how everything gets created and how testing is done. So to keep things simple, because this will be the first time that many of you are seeing the software, I'm going to run a simple test within a scenario, within a project. So I've docked the test on the right, and you'll see all the actions that are going to be executed as the test runs. The first thing that the test is going to do is log in with the username and password specified on the project. Then it's going to open up P0911 with the default version. Then it'll click the Add menu so that we can enter a journal entry. It's going to enter some header information and 2 grid rows. Then it's going to click the OK button to create a new batch. Then it's going to store the batch number. And because it's a good test, it's going to close down all of the applications that it's opened, and it's going to log out. So what we saw there was SwifTest running on the right-hand side and controlling JD Edwards on the left-hand side. SwifTest is creating execution history and documenting the test results within the project as the test runs. You can see the results here on the client or on SwifTest via the hub or as a report as we saw earlier. So here you can see the green ticks, the details of each action, and the screenshots as well. Okay, and that ran pretty quickly. And because the test is automated, it's repeatable and accurate every time. SwifTest saves time because the scripts run much quicker than a human can enter this, up to 60% faster, and they are repeatable and accurate. So when the test was running, you may have noticed values being entered on the left-hand side. The dates, amounts, that kind of thing. In the test, these values were hard-coded in SwifTest on the right-hand side. Values, however, don't need to be hard-coded. SwifTest has two different types of data stores that can be used when writing and running scripts. One of these data stores is for more static data, things like dates and item numbers. And the other is for runtime use, like batch numbers or order numbers, things that change every time that you run them. So you can create a batch, save the number, and then pick it up for later use. So one of SwifTest's key benefits is that data can be separated from your scripts. And the data stores are just one of many examples of the features that make SwifTest so powerful. So I would now like to also point out that we have test queues. These are used to test end-to-end business processes, and a scheduler to allow us to run tests in the background at designated times. So here is an example of how a number of little unit tests can be brought together to test a business process. So this test queue is testing a GL process. It's going to create a new journal entry. It's going to save the batch number, then change the status of that batch to pending, then approve it, then post the batch, and then void that posted batch. So now let's talk about how tests get created. So our approach is different to what you may have seen if you look at other solutions. So I have a partially created sales order test that I'm going to run so that we can start adding new actions to this test. So again, on the left-hand side, we have the application that we want to test, and on the right-hand side, we have our SwifTest test application. So the application that we want to test on the left-hand side, this has forms, this has controls, fields, grids. These are all of the components that we want to interact with. I'm starting here because if you're familiar with the application that you want to test, then it's really easy to write and maintain a test script. Everything that you're familiar with in the application and that you want to test is reflected in the SwifTest client. SwifTest is application aware and it's easy to use. So as a user of the sales order entry application and building a test to create a sales order, we know that the very next thing that we need to do is enter the branch plant. To create that action, the script writer does that in SwifTest by selecting the action and completing what makes sense on the right-hand side. And that drives what happens on the left-hand side. SwifTest is driving the application that's being tested. We're not recording. SwifTest doesn't build scripts based on actions performed on the left-hand side. It's not a record and playback solution. The problem with record and playback is it creates very brittle tests, which when the left-hand side changes, very often you just need to throw away what you've created and recreate it from scratch. Record and playback scripting solutions can be notoriously complex and can require quite a bit of technical skill as you use them project to project. You might get through the first project and be happy, but things can unravel in subsequent projects as the software changes and as your own business processes change. Now let me show you how easy it is to come in later and change a script. Here I'm editing an action to set the branch plant, changing the value from 30 to M30. Now let me ask you how long you think it would take to recreate what you have as a paper-based script today within the SwifTest application. SwifTest is not just simple, it's easy to use, and it's very powerful. And let's take a quick look at some of the other actions that you can perform within SwifTest. There's common actions that you're going to use in every single test, like entering a form value or a grid value, or clicking a button. There's general actions like logging in or logging in with a different role, or launching an application from FastPath, or logging out. There's a number of different actions to interact with form controls or with a grid, as well as application menus, tabs, with batch applications, E1 pages and E1 menus, and as well as media objects and personalizations. It's all very simple, right? SwifTest is very powerful and it saves you time because it's easy to create and maintain scripts, up to 70% less time. So I'm going to stop here. Hopefully you've seen enough to really whet your appetite. We can always dive deeper and spend more time in a follow-up detailed demo session. What you've seen today is a UI that is consistent, it's familiar and easy to use, a very powerful but flexible framework to support your scripting and automation needs. SwifTest is a solution that helps you understand and plan what testing needs to be done during a project. With testing being done inside projects, you get an easy-to-access audit trail of your testing. SwifTest is self-documenting and saves you time because scripts run quickly, up to 60% faster. Scripts are repeatable and accurate, and data can be separated from the scripts themselves. SwifTest is application aware, it's easy to use, it's powerful, and it saves you time because it's easy to create and maintain scripts.